This shit more than a game.
Perfect.
They always say that the NFL is a game of inches. And that was no more true than this past Sunday. It's crazy how quickly from play to play, narratives, takes, and legacies can change. You watch that first quarter of the Broncos Patriots game, boy, they might as well have had a tailor go on the sideline and fit Sean Payton for a gold jacket. I mean, the way the Broncos were looking with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, boy, you might as well have just ushered Sean Payton into the Hall of Fame at that moment, right? Then the second quarter came, and the Broncos up 7 faced a fourth and about a few inches to go up 14-0 instead of taking a field goal to go up 10-0. We all know what happened. The Broncos went for it. They didn't get it. The Broncos did not score a single point after that play. The Patriots only needed 10 points after that to go to the Super Bowl. And now, Sean Payton, who in the first quarter, everybody was saying that Sean Payton is a genius. That Sean Payton is a Hall of Fame coach. That Sean Payton is the best coach in the NFL. It's now, that Sean Payton is a choke artist. That Sean Payton doesn't know how to get it done in the playoffs. That Sean Payton is always coming up short when he has a team that can go to a Super Bowl. It's just amazing to me how narratives and legacies can change just that quickly in the NFL. You see, no matter what Sean Payton accomplished this season, including getting Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos to the #1 seed in the AFC, getting the Broncos one game away with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback from being in the Super Bowl, getting the Broncos in the division with Patrick Mahomes, where they're paying Russell Wilson still over $100 million, getting them that close to greatness. None of that matters now because all everybody's going to talk about is Sean Payton should have not gone for it on 4th and 1. He is not an elite coach. He never can do what it takes to get his team over the hump to a Super Bowl. It is just absolutely amazing how quickly things can change in the NFL. You know, a wise man always said, the F in the NFL doesn't stand for fair. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the John O'Bourne Show, but it's shit more than a game.
From the stands, I'm invested. Every loss served like a lesson, we tested. Front porch talk turn to Sunday confessions. From dome to the block, it's all one connection. From Eric to Drew, Alvin to Cam, talk down on my squad. Boy, I be damned. I rap for the ones that never got fame, still yelling loud. This shit more than a game. Cause y'all know why? This shit more than a game. It ain't no lie. This shit more than a game. You know that's right. This shit more than a game. And y'all know why? This shit more than a game. Now I got Lil John sitting on my knee, teaching them young what it mean to believe. This bigger than scores, it's what we became. He gon' know off top, this shit more than a game. Clarissa in the back giving me all types of stress, but deep down she know the husband the best. She knows he's crazy, she know he's mean, but she know the kid 100% New Orleans. And y'all know why, this shit more than a game. It ain't no lie, this shit more than a game. You know that's right, this shit more than a game. And y'all know why, this shit more than a game. Yeah. When you see Jono scream, this shit more than a game. And when you see a Falcons fan, just call out for Jonathan. And yeah, this shit more than a game. New Orleans know this shit more than a game. Louisiana know this shit more than a game. Texas know this shit more than a game. Whole world know this shit more than a game. Y'all know why?
This shit more than a game. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This shit is definitely more than a game. I appreciate everybody joining me today on the John O'Bourne Show. And wherever you live, hopefully you guys are staying warm after that ice storm that we had across the country this past weekend. What better way to keep yourself warm? Maybe with a hot glass of cocoa
a hot glass of cocoa than watching the John O'Bone Show on your Tuesday nights. Oh, man, you guys, that was a very fun championship weekend. I enjoyed the games. I hope you guys enjoyed the games as well. Now, before we talk about those games, though, I do need one favor. One favor. I mean, if you guys are going to join me on this lovely Tuesday night, just do me one favor and leave a dish share more than a game in the chat right now so we can start the show off on the right way. Maybe we could take those positive vibes and maybe we can actually go and be playing and talking about the New Orleans Saints in championship weekend next year. Because, hey, y'all, I mean, do y'all know the Patriots and the Seahawks, the two Super Bowl representative teams in 2026, were not in the playoffs last year? So, hell, it's obviously it can be done. So, hey, I'm about to be drinking that Kool-Aid all offseason. Now, you know what? Next season, it's going to be the Saints' turn to do the unthinkable and go from no playoffs to being in the Super Bowl. But before I get ahead of myself, let's actually talk about the 2026 Super Bowl because we have our Super Bowl participants, y'all. We have our Super Bowl participants. The Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. I mean, good Lord have mercy. Can y'all talk about the monkey's paw we all wished for the Chiefs dynasty to end? And the football guy said, okay, well, guess what? We'll give y'all the Patriots again. Some fan bases have all the fun. Seahawks and Patriots. That was the Super Bowl matchup. I believe it was about 8 or 9 years ago now, and we get it again. Hey, man, look, as annoyed as we can be as football fans saying, oh, boy, the Patriots again, or oh, boy, the Patriots and the Seahawks matchup again, you got to give those franchises credit. Those are the top-of-the-line franchises that the Saints aspired to be when Sean Payton left and said, we're going to keep that level of competition and contending ship going on after Payton left, and we all saw how horribly we failed at that. Whereas teams like the Patriots and the Seahawks, they just continue to contend. And those are the franchises that we should model ourselves after. I mean, even the losing teams, the Rams and Sean Payton, obviously with the effect that he had with the Broncos, like, you know, it can be annoying to see these same matchups in the Super Bowl, but you look back and you say, damn, well, I wish my team was good enough that even if we had a bad year or two, I know that we have the type of franchise that can dig ourselves out the mud and be a contender again. So as mad as I am at the fact that the Patriots, I'm not even mad. You're a little annoyed. Like, damn, the Patriots, like, how many Super Bowls in my lifetime am I going to see where the Patriots are in it? I believe Chris Collinsworth is calling his 8th Super Bowl next Sunday, and 5 of them have now been with the New England Patriots. That's insane. That's insane. Like, them dudes had a 5-year downfall without Brady and Belichick. Speaking of Belichick, we'll definitely get to some Belichick news. I don't know if you saw the news, guys, but we'll talk about that later in the show. And then they walk into Drake May and Mike Vrabel, and maybe Drake May isn't obviously the next Tom Brady. Who is the next Tom Brady, right? But the fact that they are back, it's wild. It's wild. So we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the championship games this weekend and talking about a preview of the Super Bowl 60, which will be next Sunday. But before we do that, let's recap what happened this past Sunday, because I'm sure you guys all have a lot of Monday morning, or I guess technically Tuesday morning quarterbacking to do when it comes to the game. So we'll start off with the Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. And conspicuous by his absence tonight, y'all, no, Sean will not be on the show tonight. And I'm sure you guys actually were looking forward to, like, hey, this is the episode that we actually want to see Sean on. Well, unfortunately, you guys, you will not be seeing Sean on the show tonight. He says very conveniently that he is busy. You know, he says with the ice storms and everything, that work has just been crazy for him. So I'm pretty sure, though, you know, if the Rams had won that game Sunday, Sean would be on the show saying, oh, look, y'all, I found the time in my busy schedule to come on the show. But it's okay. It's okay because we can talk about the game without him anyway. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Los Angeles Rams. What a great game that was, right? What an absolute great game that was. It's amazing that you can work your butt off all season and arguably be the best team throughout the season, and your season can come down to a special teams blunder, because I think that is going to be the main takeaway from that game when history looks back on it. Had the Rams return and not fumbled that punt, we might be talking about the Rams versus the Patriots next Sunday instead of the Seahawks versus the Patriots. It's those small things. And I know I have a Saints heavy audience. So to add to the Saints effect of it, y'all know how bad our special teams was this past season. And it seems like Kellen Moore is going to still run it back with our special teams coordinator. Hey, that's fine. I trust him more than I trust what my eyes see. That's for damn sure. And I'm not even being sarcastic. Like, Kellen Moore knows or has forgotten about more football than I will ever know. But I just hope that the Saints don't act like, oh, even though we had a bad special team season, we can get by. No, that type of stuff matters. And when it comes down to do or die games, game of inches, win or go home type of games, man, you better be sure that you are on your P's and Q's on all facets. The Rams had special teams issues all season, and it ended up being the thing that bit them in the ass this past Sunday when they lost to the Seattle Seahawks. And it's got to suck, like I would hate for the Saints to have a season similar to the Rams next season where we're great, we're great. We're in an NFC Championship game, and our punter shanks a punt that gives whoever we're playing a short field. They wind up going to the Super Bowl because all they needed was 15, 20 yards to make a field goal. Like, that type of stuff matters, man. And so hopefully, not just the Saints, I'm sure every team is looking at that saying, okay, man, we got to make sure that we are on our shit when it comes to all facets of the game, and we can't ignore our shortcomings, and we can't, as Saints fans, in the New Orleans Saints franchise, be so blinded by the Tyler Shuck optimism that we don't realize the things that we have to work on internally as a roster and the things that were still very pressing to see even during our win streak, which was including our special teams being an absolute disaster all season long. So tough loss for the Rams, and we're going to get to it in a little bit, though. I'm focusing on the special teams blunder, but I mean, they still had of all fan bases, they would know, huh? They still had a chance to win the game. I'm sure y'all remember Rams fans telling us that 1,000 times over after the 2019 championship game. They still had a chance to win the game, and there was a controversial decision that Sean McVay made where he went for it as well on fourth down, where he could have took the points, and it would have been tied. And so we're going to debate that. Should Sean McVay have took the goddamn points? Because it seems like this past weekend, the Seans, speaking of Sean, the Seans just having a horrible weekend because Sean Payton and Sean McVay had opportunities to take 3 crucial points, and they declined to in the name of analytics and the name of we want this first down because we want to go up by more points, whatever. And so it brings up the age-old debate about how much should we focus on analytics and going for it, and how much should these coaches stop going for it on fourth down and taking the points, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Seattle Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. Happy for Rashid Shaheed. Happy for the city of Seattle. Happy for that team. There's a team that the general audience does not know a lot about. You're probably going to get a lot of takes that you see these next 2 weeks before the Super Bowl saying, oh, man, what a very uninteresting Super Bowl because there was no, household name yet. Drake May is starting to slowly become one, but nobody on either side is that household name yet. Now, I always say, well, if you want them to be household names, then them being in the Super Bowl is going to make them household names. Like, you got to create stars. But either way, but props to the Seahawks. They don't have a team where you look at the roster and go, whoo, good Lord have mercy. It's that team, a Super Bowl team. So what they're doing this year under Mike McDonald is really, really impressive. It makes you have hope that maybe Kellen Moore in his second year can do the same thing next year. I'm going to be drinking that Kool-Aid all offseason. Y'all got negative Jono the past 2 offseasons. Y'all getting hopium Jono this next offseason. But very impressed with what Seattle did. And we'll see where the Rams go in the future because as great of a year as Matt Stafford had, I do wonder how long can he keep up this level of play going forward. But, well, too bad, so sad, Rams. Enjoy us on that couch because they are officially on the couch with us and the Cowboys fans and the Panthers fans and the Falcons fans. And look at that, y'all. Sean, he's hovering over us like the sun in the Lion King. Welcome to that couch, Sean and Rams fans. We saved y'all a nice little spot. Hey, Cancun is awesome this time of year. Get out this goddamn sun, man, and come and join Cancun with us. So welcome to the couch, Rams. Then, of course, the Broncos versus the Patriots. And I'm going to say this. Before we get into the Sean Payton debate about should he have gone for it on fourth down or not, the fact that they were even in that game, because I thought they were going to get their ass whooped. Y'all remember me last week. I was like, this is probably going to be a blowout. Like, ain't no way Jarrett Stidham is going to keep the Broncos competitive. And he did for the most part. I mean, look, he wasn't great, but for a quarterback who had not thrown a pass the past 3 seasons in the NFL, for him to be going toe-to-toe, I guess, with the big bad New England Patriots, that's something in itself. So it's amazing, like I say in my opening rant, that the narrative is going to be about Sean Payton blowing it. But, like, I'm looking at it like, shit, the fact that they were even in that game, it's kind of impressive, right? Like the Broncos, y'all, it's the Broncos. Like, did anybody think before the season, be honest, y'all, did anybody think before the season that the Broncos were going to be in the AFC Championship game? Raise your hand if you did in the chat. Raise your hand, because I'm thinking if y'all did, y'all lying your ass off. They're like, there's just no way. There's no way. So the fact that, that's going to be lost in the narrative of Sean Payton's fourth down decision. It's kind of crazy, like, because the Broncos had no business. I mean, the Broncos almost had as much business as the 2006 Saints being in the NFC Championship game, right? But nobody remembers that. They always remember who won and who lost. So the Broncos lost, and it also brings up another debate we're going to have in our next segment, which was, both of those games this Sunday was night and day, but I was entertained by both of them. Like, you had that offensive slugfest with the Broncos and the Patriots, where by the second half, neither team could do anything because of the weather. Like, the running backs could not get their footing down. The wide receivers looked like they were running in quicksand. Like, in the fourth quarter, y'all, the weather was so bad, the conditions were so borderline unplayable that Mike Vrabel essentially elected to punt the ball. Every time he got the ball back on offense, he would do 3 of the most basic run plays and say, you know what? I'm so comfortable with the fact that this weather is so bad that the Broncos offense isn't going to do anything, and they cannot make a field goal because of this weather, that I don't mind just running the ball for 1 yard a carry, because I know that the fact that no team is scoring any more points the rest of the way. And that makes you wonder, are these cold weather games overrated? Y'all remember we had this debate about, I think it was 2 seasons ago, when I was like, look, I love cold weather games. I'm not saying get rid of them. I promise I'm not losing sleep over cold weather games and whatnot. But I also argue, given the fact that it seems like every team in the next 20 years is going to have a brand new stadium, that every stadium should be required to have a dome. Not even a dome, a retractable roof. Because I'm pretty sure the Broncos fans would have preferred to have nice, non-snowy weather in a game where they were relying on Jarrett Stidham to get to the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. We'll talk about that in our next segment. But boy, did that weather cause a bad cause and effect for the team that was supposed to be the advantage for. The Broncos played for home field advantage to get to that type of weather, and it bit them in the ass. It's just interesting. Y'all marinate on that, because we're going to talk about that in our next segment. We're going to debate about that. But the Broncos lost. I think a lot of Broncos fans left that game saying, man, if Bo Nix would have just stayed healthy, we could have definitely won that game if he was the starter. And that's a valid point. But I also would tell Broncos fans, look, Sean Payton is your head coach. We Saints fans can tell y'all, there seems to be a black cloud where even if the NFL is rewarding Sean Payton, like he kind of got rewarded against the Bills, where they got every call that went their way. The football guys are always going to say, nah, Sean Payton. For some reason, the football guys got something against Sean Payton, because for them to have escaped that game against Buffalo with everything that they needed to go their way, and to then instantly discover that Bo Nix was out for the season, it just makes me think that, man, is Sean Payton ever going to win a championship again, a Super Bowl championship? Because it just seems like there's just bad luck around him. I don't know, but hey, also congrats to the Patriots, because even though in their 3 wins in the postseason so far, definitely didn't make you go, man, that's a great, great team, right? Like every win that they had was, you can call quote unquote ugly, or just not as, they don't jump off the screen the way the Seahawks looked in their games that they won in the postseason, right? But I think the Patriots, ironically, the Patriots that are in their, 6th Super Bowl in the past 15 years now? God, some fan bases have all the luck. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder going into the game, because they're going to be like, man, everybody's out on the Seahawks. Nobody's talking about us. Nobody's been talking about us all January. When it was the Chargers, it was Justin Herbert. When they played the Texans, it was CJ Stroud, and the Texans defense. And now when they play the Broncos, it's, but Jarrett Stidham and Sean Payton. I think Mike Vrabel's going to have that team extremely motivated next Sunday, where it's going to be a better game than I think that a lot of fans are going to give it credit for. I think the Patriots are going to come out to play next Sunday. I think they got a chip on their shoulder that nobody ever talks about us. Nobody ever gives our defense any credit. It's always the opposing quarterback that is the main character. I think it's going to be interesting. But I enjoyed those games. I hope you guys enjoyed those games too. We're going to debate about those games right now, because I need to know how you guys felt about the decisions by the Seans to go for it on 4th down. And I need to know what you guys feel is my take, a hot take, when it comes to cold weather games being overrated. But before we get to those debates, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. Here's a gift just for you for being a fan. Are you going to a sports game or a concert or any major event? Well, buy your tickets from SeatGeek and use the promo code JONO at checkout, and you can receive $20 off your purchase over $50. That's $20 off your purchase. What are you waiting for? You know this shit more than a game, man. So, the first thing we'll debate is that Seahawks and Rams game. Everybody remembers Sean McVay had the chance on the Rams' last drive, well, second to last drive, technically, to tie the game up. He elected instead to go for it on 4th down. They did not get it. The Seahawks essentially ended the game after that. How do you guys feel about the decision by Sean McVay? Do you think that he made the right decision by going for it on 4th down? Or do you think Sean McVay should have took the points? Let me know. While you guys are letting me know, hey, look at that, y'all. We got some super chats, starting with the guy who has not been on the show in a while. All right. I get it. And he puts hashtag Team Jono Show. He gives 2 super chats. That's why we have to air horns twice. Good job, Ziggy. I appreciate you, man. I don't know, y'all. Do we want Ziggy in the chat every week give us super chats because that helps the show out? Or do we want Ziggy on the show? I feel like Ziggy not on the show, we get super chats. But when Ziggy's not on the show, we don't get super chats for him. Either way, Ziggy, man, I know that you are very busy right now going through. I don't know, y'all. Then again, y'all know how often Ziggy says that. Ziggy comes back on the show. He'll do the show like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. You know, I had all this going on in my personal life and you know what I was doing, but now I'm back. My schedule's clear. And then a month later, oh man, like he's in the chat again. Oh, y'all, I'm so busy, y'all. How busy are you, my guy? Good Lord. Are you the president of the United States? Good Lord. I appreciate the super chats again. Because Ziggy gave us 2 super chats, y'all, we are going to hear a special message from Ziggy later on in the show. As well as my goal for the night was for a $5 super chat. Well, Ziggy gave a $5 super chat, so we will play a classic skit from you guys from the Jono Barnes channel, because I know a lot of you guys maybe weren't Jono Barnes subscribers in year 1. So there's a lot of skits that you guys may not have seen. It deserves to see the light of day. Because of Ziggy, we are going to get to those super chats. To that skit and to his special message for Saints Nation later on in the show. But I asked you, everybody's saying on. All right, y'all, hold on. Y'all supposed to say, nah, giving Jono super chats off the show. Either way, but the main topic we're talking about is the goddamn Rams and Seahawks game. And everybody is answering, should Sean McVay have gone for it or taken the points? My guy Slim South says he would have taken the points. The Know the Child podcast says Sean McVay should have took the points. He took a big risk and he failed. Hurricane Mikey says, I don't hate the decision, but points are very valuable in the playoffs. Am I missing anybody? I want to make sure I see everything. All right, I see people talking about the Super Bowl matchup, which we'll get to, y'all. Actually, we're going to get to the Super Bowl matchup next week because y'all know we don't have a game unless y'all want to debate the Pro Bowl next week. The Pro Bowl led by Shedeur Sanders, by the way. Y'all want to debate that next Tuesday? I don't think so. So we're going to save our Super Bowl matchup and preview talk for next Tuesday's show. So save all y'all thoughts. I see some of y'all already in the chat saying, oh, the Patriots ain't got a shot. Save that for next week. We'll do our Super Bowl preview show next week, and maybe Ziggy and even Sean can join the show next week where we preview the Super Bowl. But we're going to talk about the championship games this weekend. And Bruce Saint says, I was on the fence with McVay's decision. Taking the points with hindsight in mind would have benefited. Jerry says he should have taken the points, but he's not mad at Sean McVay. My thought was when it actually happened, what's up? Miss Barbara. She says, Sean. Which one, Sean? Which one, Miss Barbara? Because both of the Seans apparently blew it this weekend. And Know the Chop says, who watches the Pro Bowl nowadays? We'll talk about the Pro Bowl in a little bit. In the moment, I was also like, nah, Rams, take the points. Like, this is a back and forth game. Points are very valuable. Like, take the points and hope that your defense, who before that drive had actually stopped the Seahawks, I believe, on their past 2 possessions. So technically, the Rams defense had momentum. I know Evan had texted me during the game. He was like, nah, you got to go for it because I don't trust the Rams defense to get a stop, which ultimately was true. The Rams defense, after they didn't get the 4th down, could not stop the Seahawks from icing the game, essentially. But I was like, well, yeah, but technically the Rams defense stopped them the past 2 drives. So I would take the points and trust my defense and say, if we get the ball back, all we will need is a field goal to win the game and not need a touchdown again. So I would have definitely taken the points. And I think his decision, to be honest, was a little bit more egregious than Sean Payton's, which we'll talk about Sean Payton soon. Because, I don't know, y'all. It's just like, at some point, when it's cool, I guess, and I appreciate that these coaches are so aggressive in the current age of the NFL, but man, a lot of these games are lost by these coaches being too aggressive sometimes and just not simply taking the points. Like, take the points. Points help. Points matter. Points matter. That's a Buffalo Bills fan. Points matter. So sometimes I think Sean Payton, Sean McVay, incredible coaches, outsmart themselves sometimes. And I think Sean McVay did that this past weekend. I don't think it was the main reason. I think that special teams blunder should be the reason where people remember why the Rams lost the game. But I do think that I would have taken the points when it comes to the Rams versus the Seahawks game. Now, Sean Payton's case, did he blow it? Because Lord have mercy, a lot of people think that he blew it by going for it on 4th down. And even though I just said that I don't agree with Sean McVay going for it on 4th down, I actually think I actually was not mad at Sean Payton going for it on 4th down. Because again, y'all, we got to look at the situations and we got to look at context. We got to look at context, right? Sean McVay went for it in the 4th quarter. Sean Payton went for it in the 2nd quarter. All right. I think a lot of people, let me know, by the way, y'all, how y'all feel about Sean Payton. Let me know. Even if you answered it early in the show, answer it again so I can catch up to the chat. Let me know. Do y'all think Sean Payton blew it or do y'all think he made the right decision? Because I think people are using the benefit of hindsight to say, oh, Sean Payton blew it. Sean Payton blew it. I don't think anybody was as up in arms about Sean Payton going for it in the moment as they were after the game when they knew that, oh, man, those 3-point sure would have helped Sean Payton out. So now they're loud and proud about Sean Payton blowing it. But I think in the moment, it wasn't as controversial a decision as it's being made out to be right now. Now, an impactful decision? Absolutely. The right decision, though. I don't think that was a wrong decision. I think either decision was fine. The play call, and Sean Payton said this multiple times, is where he's going to lose sleep over because the play call was not a good play call. And credit to Mike Vrabel and that Patriots defense. They might be like the unsung heroes this postseason. Like, we're always talking about the other side whenever the Patriots are playing, but that Patriots defense has been incredible in the 3 games so far in the postseason. And the Patriots defense, Sean Payton says, showed us a look that we had not seen on tape and caught us off guard. And shout out to Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, it makes you wonder, again, how in the hell did Tennessee fire Mike Vrabel? Mike Vrabel is arguably a top 5 coach already in the NFL. And he, sometimes these games come down to chess. He out-chessed Sean Payton in that moment. So I was not mad at the decision. And I want to know, do you guys think that it was the right decision? Or do you guys think that Sean Payton blew it? Dennis says, Sean Payton did not blow it. The quarterback blew it. Miss Barbara says, never leave points on the field. Sean Payton blew it big time. I screamed about it when he went for it on 4th down. So she's saying, even in that moment, I knew that was a bad call. And again, y'all, by the way, I hate that YouTube has turned y'all handles into y'all actual, I miss when YouTube used to actually show y'all actual display names and not y'all handles. But remember, that's a YouTube decision. It's not mine. So when you see @Green Monster, when you see @Jason K9020, it's not my decision. When y'all see JGP Jr. instead of @Jerry G, YouTube made that stupid decision to show the actual handles now instead of giving you the option to show your actual display name. I don't know why they did that, but don't blame me when y'all look on replays of the show and y'all see that. Why is it showing my handle as my handle and not my actual display name? And I'm also looking at the show, but I look back at the replay sometimes, and like what I see, y'all, when y'all comment on the chat right there, I see y'all avatars, but then I watch the show back on replay sometimes, and it shows y'all avatars like with an X. So I don't know what that's all about, but do know that some things are out of my control. Maybe y'all don't even give a damn. Y'all probably don't even notice any of these things, but y'all know how anal and peculiar I am about my show. So just know that some things are just out of my handle when it comes to these live streams. Brute Saint says, man, I'm the opposite. I'm not with Payton's decision because he knows he doesn't have his best players out there. I had that thought while watching it too. The Know the Child podcast says, we all know how Sean Payton operates, and him going forward was the wrong call. Much respect to Sean Payton, but he did blow it. Rodney Rogers says, at the time, I thought he should have kicked the field goal, but I don't think it was the quote-unquote worst decision of all time to be aggressive. Jason says that Will Lutz blew it for Sean Payton. Now, to be fair, and I was very hard on Will Lutz during his tenure in New Orleans, but boy, those weather conditions, and we'll get to the weather in a little bit, I don't know if Adam Vinatieri could have made kicks in that weather, Jason, so I'm not going to be too hard on Will Lutz. Jerry says, I was predicting Sean Payton winning the game so he can win 2 Super Bowls with the Saints and Broncos, but Sean Payton blew it. Now, we got to think about, though, y'all, again, the context and the situation. So
It's 7-0 Broncos, right? They're moving the ball down the field with Jarrett Stidham. It's 4th and 1. All right. You're looking at that play and you're like, man, it's only 1 yard. We are 1 yard away from possibly going out 14-0 instead of 10-0. We have all the momentum in the world. Our defense seems to be stifling the Patriots offense. Can you honestly, all y'all, look at me in the eye and say, y'all would not have had that same temptation to go, I know I got a backup quarterback, but I can have a backup quarterback being up 14 points instead of a backup quarterback with a 10-point lead. See, that's why I just don't think it was as bad of a decision as it's made out to be. The play call is what I think should get the heat. The decision, I think, was a fine. And this is the second quarter, by the way. Y'all remember. This isn't the fourth quarter. This isn't it where, oh, man, you could go up 10 points with only 6 minutes left. You basically got a 2-possession game. This is the second quarter. So Sean Payton also probably like, look, man, we got a whole second half to go. Let me try to go on 14-0 so that I am up by 2 touchdowns instead of just a touchdown and a field goal. Like that temptation of saying, man, it's only 1 yard. It's only 1 yard. I could give my team a huge cushion with Jarrett Stidham as my quarterback. People are using the Jarrett Stidham argument to say that's why you should go up 10 points. I'm using a Jarrett Stidham argument to say I got Jarrett Stidham and I'm only 1 yard away from 14-0 lead instead of a 10-0 lead. I'm a little tempted to also say, you know what? I trust my guys. Go give me a 1 goddamn yard. The problem is, again, the play call. Instead of just maybe going straight forward with a run, shit, doing a Drew Brees, bam, here, I'll stretch my hand out. That's my 1 yard, give me my forward progress. He said he saw something on film where he didn't think the Patriots were going to be able to react to it, where they were going for a quick out to the running back, and the Patriots blew that shit up and said, nah, that ain't happening. So I think the decision was fine. I think the play call is what deserves the heat. Hurricane Mikey says, yes, Payton blew it. A backup quarterback, snow was on the way, and we all know Sean Payton is like super anal. So Sean Payton definitely knew about the snow on the way. I'll give you that. That's a very valid point. It's not like Sean Payton was shocked, like, oh my, where all the snow came from? Good Lord. So he did. That is a good point to make, Mikey. The defense was bought in, and you tried to force it. Let me see if I got anything else. Slim South says the defense being awesome, John, is why you take the 3 points. And Mikey's yelling at me now saying, Snow was coming with a backup quarterback and your defense is great and you went for it. I think Mikey's mad because y'all remember he was on the show last week pumping the chest out saying, watch out, y'all, the Broncos are going to win this goddamn game. Bruce Saint says, regardless of the outcome, a field goal gives you a 2-possession lead or a touchdown gives you a 2-possession lead. I go off possessions instead of individual points. So true, what Bruce Saint is saying is that, hey, if either outcome is a 2-point possession lead, then why not take the guaranteed one of Will Lutz making the field goal before that horrible weather comes? And Know the Child podcast says the Broncos could have easily won the game 14-3 minus that Drake May touchdown, but it is what it is. Again, y'all, I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Like, I don't think that y'all's arguing against him going forward is the wrong answer. I don't think me saying, it's not the worst decision of all time, it's the wrong answer. I think with the ability of hindsight, you say, of course, you should have taken those 3 points. But I also think that, a lot of us in that same situation would have been very tempted, just like Sean Payton was, to go for it on that 4th and 1 and say, man, just 1 yard. Come on. It's not 4th and 2. It's not 4th and 3. It's just 1 yard. I just need 1 yard to give myself a chance at 14-0 lead instead of a 10-0 lead. Now, ironically, y'all know the analytics is going to take the fall for this because there's a lot of anti-analytics people out there, but the analytics actually told Sean Payton to go for the field goal. So just remember that, because I know some people might be like, it's the damn analytics, and those analytic nerds are always saying, go for it on 4th down and whatnot. Actually, the analytics has told Sean Payton kick the field goal, but Sean Payton was feeling himself. The last drive before that, Jarrett Stidham threw that 50-yard bomb to Cortland Sutton and do that touchdown to Cortland Sutton. He was like, man, I'm Sean freaking Payton. And what I say in my opening round, like, after that first quarter, you might as well have bought a Taylor on the sideline to start fitting Sean Payton for a gold jacket the way the Broncos were looking. Because I was like, good Lord have mercy, Sean Payton's about to get Jarrett Stidham to the goddamn Super Bowl. So it was very interesting. I'm sure Sean Payton now has 2 things he's going to lose sleep about throughout his coaching career, and that was the no call and now his decision to go for it on 4th down. Another question I have for you guys, though, as Mikey brought up a good point, that damn cold weather. Because that 4th quarter, y'all, even though I was entertained, let's be honest, if that was like a week 5 game, a lot of people would have been like, oh, well, one, obviously I know that would have happened in week 5. I'm just saying. Was damn near unwatchable, right? Like that 4th quarter, it was essentially each team having a punt fest because there was nothing the teams could do. The wide receivers were running in quicksand in that deep snow. The running backs could not get their footing. Mike Vrabel got the ball back 3 times, and he was like, I'm just going to run the ball and punt the ball because I know that their offense cannot do the same stuff that my offense cannot do, and their field goal kicker cannot make a field goal because these conditions are damn near unplayable. It makes for an amazing aesthetic. It makes for, in the NFL law of history, classic games, right? We all know the Ice Bowl. We all know the Patriots being the Raiders with the controversial tuck rule in the snow. You're like, we all love snow games, right? But good Lord have mercy. If you are a fan of the Denver Broncos, you cannot tell me that you would be like, damn, I wish we actually had, this game was in a dome or somewhere so that, it could have been man up on man up. The conditions of the weather isn't affecting the gameplay. I've argued this before. I'm not saying cold games are overrated, but I do think these cold weather teams would be wise, especially the teams that have new stadiums on the way. I believe the Broncos are making a new stadium, if I'm correct. I should have done my research before the show. The Bills have a new stadium on the way, and I forget if they have a retractable roof or not. But if you are a cold weather team with a brand new stadium on the way, make a retractable roof. And I know that's a hot take. And if I put that on Twitter, everybody's going to yell at me. Yeah. You a punk, man. You one of these new generation fans that don't know what real football weather is and yada, yada, yada. And, tradition, football is an outdoor game and it's supposed to be played in cold weather. Okay. Just because something was tradition in the 70s and 60s and 80s doesn't mean that in the 20s that we need to be doing the same stuff. I'm not losing sleep over cold weather games. I'm just saying 2 things. One, as a fan, if my team was a cold weather city, you would have to pay me to be sitting in that cold ass weather for 3+ hours. Then watching my team lose, I'm sitting in -degree weather watching my team lose. That doesn't sound very fun to me, but I'm a Southern boy, so take from that what you will. But 2, man, I would just hate for my team to have the season that the Broncos had, and the season kind of came down to the fact that Mother Nature in the 4th quarter said, all right, that's a wrap. This game's over. And none of y'all ain't doing shit because you can't do shit. I would be like, I wish we had the option to maybe close the roof of our stadium so that we give our backup quarterback. Everybody just mentioned about Jarrett Stidham. He would have had a much better shot at upsetting the Patriots if he had to play in that goddamn weather than he did playing in that weather. I think each cold weather team should invest in a retractable roof. I know that's an unpopular take. I've been yelled at about it on Twitter before. I said this on the show. I think it was 2 seasons ago. I just think look, I get it. I'm not a fan of either of these teams, so no sweat off my back. I get to go watch my games in a very comfortable, warm Superdome. And unless the Saints are playing in the championship game in cold weather like we did in 2006, we did against the Bears, but that cold weather wasn't as bad as the weather we saw this past Sunday. I don't have to worry about, my team ever being too affected by cold weather like that. But I'm grateful that I don't have to be. I'm grateful that I never have a season where I'm like, good Lord, man. Like our season came down to the fact that we were down by 3 points when Mother Nature decided to be Mother Nature and we had no shot to do anything because at that point the weather just took over. Again, the Broncos were the number 1 seed, y'all. The Broncos were the home field advantage. And that home field advantage benefited the Patriots more than it benefited the home team. And hell, if the game had actually been in New England, this weather was actually worse in Foxborough than it was in Denver. So either way, Mother Nature was going to take over the AFC Championship game this year, wherever that game would have been at. But I'm just saying, I'm a Southern boy. I cheer my whole life for a team that plays in a dome. We all know that people oppose the people who hate Drew Brees and his legacy always uses him being in the dome as a detriment to him. Like, oh, of course he has those numbers. He played in the Superdome. Okay, who else is doing numbers like that right now in domes? But either way, that's neither here nor there. I just feel like, man, if I was a fan of a team, I would be pissed off right now as a Broncos fan. Like, shit, man. The game, we probably could have had a better shot if Mother Nature didn't come and just completely take over it. But maybe I'm tripping. So I want to know, what do you guys think about cold weather games? Let's see what people are saying. Bruce Saint says, I didn't think I would find Blizzard games boring until that. So Bruce Saint is actually saying that, never mind just everything I said, the game itself was boring. I enjoyed the game, Bruce Saint. Like, I actually was entertained by it. Like I said, the Seahawks and Rams game and the Broncos and Patriots game were like 2 completely different games. But me just being a fan of the game of football and a football savant borderline, I can watch a
a 10-7 game where Mother Nature just completely shuts on the game in the fourth quarter, and I could watch a shootout like the Seahawks and Rams had right after. So I wasn't bored by the game, but I was like, damn, Mother Nature has completely, taken over this game and has, because the Patriots had the lead when the storm started, say, hey, Patriots, congratulations, you guys are going to the Super Bowl. Hurricane Mikey says, yes, I have been saying it for years. Teams cannot play in the cold that well. Cold games are 100% overrated. Slim South says, the Denver altitude is different. My uncle lived there in the Air Force. He said it's freezing there. I have never been to Denver, Slim South, but I did go many times to New Mexico, which is very close to Denver. And I can attest to that altitude being a mother, because my first time going to New Mexico, boy, did I feel it. I felt the altitude, and I had a long night of dry heaving and puking, and because that altitude is, in fact, nothing to play with. So I cannot imagine playing a football game in the altitude of Denver, much less just actually being there, especially, again, as a Southern boys, right? So Bruce Wayne also says the fans should not have to deal with the. Now, look, people in the North, like Denver fans, Boston fans, New York fans, well, no, that's not the North, that's either way. The cold weather cities, like, they are like, oh, they probably think we sound like punks. Like, oh, what the hell, y'all? Y'all some punks, man. Y'all can't sit down in cold weather. Y'all can't sit down in snow. So it's all about, geographically where you're from and what your body is accustomed to. I wouldn't mind going to Green Bay in a snow game, but it's like I'll do it once type of thing. It ain't like, oh man, I want to be sitting in December every week watching my team in the snow. And then if my team makes the playoffs, in January, I'm in a 0-degree wind chill type, man, hell with that. Nola Chop says, I fell asleep in the fourth quarter, but the cold weather games when it snows is very overrated. I think I know it's a hot take that we're all saying this, but I think there's a lot of fans that agree with me and you guys more than you would be led to believe. Because again, I think the popular take, and if you ever did a poll, fans would say, no, keep the cold weather games. We want the snow. We want those, players running in 2 or 3 inches of snow. It makes for a great chess battle between coaches, yada, yada, yada. It's tradition, all that good stuff. But I do think that there is probably a more growing sentiment of fans saying, really, y'all? Like, is this, what about this is so pleasing besides the aesthetic of it? Like, y'all really, like, is it really a fun football game to watch? Or are we just saying that because it's tradition? Are we saying that because they play in this type of weather in the 60s, so we got to play with this type of weather in the 20s? I don't know. Tommy Season says no to snow weather games. This is where having a Louisiana heavy audience or a Southern heavy audience probably affects the conversation, because I'm sure if I had people in New York and, throughout these cold weather cities watching this show, they probably would be like, you guys are idiots. You guys are punks. But, hey, maybe we'll grow the show. We'll get more diverse opinions in the future. But either way, y'all, great championship games. Even though Bruce Saint thinks that, and all of you guys think that the Patriots and Broncos game turned out to be a big dud. We got the Seahawks and the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. And next week on the John O'Barnes Show, we will debate and we will preview that matchup and make our picks for the 2026 Super Bowl. But before we even talk about next week, let's talk about some more pressing NFL topics. However, before we do that, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors.
No matter what, we all know that this shit more than a game, and now you can wear it with pride. Visit www.johnobarnes.com or thisshitmorethanagame.com and buy your This Shit More Than a Game shirt now for the low price of $28.03. We've got you covered here on the John O'Barnes Show. So visit www.johnobarnes.com or thisshitmorethanagame.com and buy your This Shit More Than a Game shirt now. And let the world know, folks, this shit more than a game.
Hey, you can let the people know that this shit more than a game is by leaving a This Shit More Than a Super Chat, just like Bruce Saint and ASAP Thickness did last week. So to Bruce Saint and to ASAP Thickness, please know that this shit is more than a thing. And I know ASAP is in Carolina, where they also took the ice storm pretty so hopefully she's doing well. But to Bruce Saint, to ASAP Thickness, just know that this shit more than a thanks. Every super chat we get, we invest right back into the show. And next week, Ziggy's name will be on this banner. And maybe Ziggy will actually be on this goddamn show. Hey, speaking of Ziggy, Ziggy said, you know what?
even though I'm not on the show, I have some things I want to tell you guys. So because we got the super chats from him of all people, here's a special message, you guys, from Ziggy to you guys.
Once again, shout out to everybody out there at the John O'Born Show. Sorry I could not be there again today, but as always, your boy Zig always has a good reason for not being on the show. I'm currently still on call for the job that I'm at. I was about to give y'all where I work at the job that I'm at. And once again, the guys that are and ladies that are in North Louisiana that are affected by this ice or cold weather that we're having, my heart goes out to y'all. I know a lot of y'all lost power and everything like that. Be safe out there. Now, to the one message I wanted to give Jono and everyone that's listening today is in regards to the playoffs. I tried telling y'all about Rashid Shaheed. When will y'all start listening to me? I told y'all when Jono mentioned him getting traded that we're going to feel it and he's going to go into a system that is going to see him thrive. And immediately his impact is felt on that team. And as y'all saw on the playoff that just occurred with the Seahawks and the Rams, the dude is a beast, man. And Seahawks, I feel like, ran off on a plug with us with that trade. We gave him away for not enough. We should have gotten way more than what we traded Rashid Shaheed for. And, selfishly, he was one of my favorite players on the Saints this season and previous seasons. And I'm actually, without my biases, I'm actually happy to see that he's doing very well and he's being the player that we all knew that's listening. We all knew Shaheed could do this. It just took some time to have him in the right system that can see him shine. The dude ran back a touchdown it's just stuff that we knew that he could do, and it's now on the stage for the world to see. But yeah, your boy Zig I got the raccoon eyes. I've been up all weekend, working nonstop on call, and I hope to be back next week. But with all that being said, y'all be safe out there. Jono, thank you for all that you do, man. Continue doing your thing, bro. I'm proud of you, man. See y'all later.
Ziggy, he might be lying about, him working this ice storm. I think he's working Rashid Shaheed's phone lines, and he must be cosplaying as Rashid Shaheed agent. Good Lord. That man loves him some Rashid Shaheed, huh? He makes a good point, though. And yeah, I guess technically, he tried telling us, y'all. He tried telling us about Rashid Shaheed because Rashid Shaheed has been that X factor for the Seahawks in these games for them. And make sure, look at teams like the Buffalo Bills and say, why did y'all not go after Rashid Shaheed? Chris Olave, when he was at his lowest price point, to try to get over the hump. That's why, I always appreciate teams that when that window is open, they go for it. Like, hey, man, look, we don't know how often we're going to be back in the Super Bowl window. So the Seahawks are like, who gives a damn about that? What was it, a 4th round pick we got for Rashid Shaheed? Yeah, I'm sure the Seahawks are like, okay, boy, we're going to really miss that 4th round pick while we're in Santa Clara next week for the Super Bowl. So good on Rashid Shaheed. He's going to get a big payday this offseason as well. And he went from a team that at the time was the worst in the NFL to now playing in the Super Bowl. I guess all I can say is you can't make this up. You can't make this up. Let's get to some more NFL pressing topics, Shaw, because just because the Seahawks and the Patriots are in the Super Bowl doesn't mean that the rest of the NFL world stops. So here's some hot topic issues that I want you guys' opinion on. I don't know if you guys saw, but before the show went on live tonight, breaking news came out. Bill Belichick, the 8-time winning Super Bowl head coach, is not going to be making the Hall of Fame this year. So when they announce the Hall of Fame finalists, Hall of Fame honorees next week, which is going to be a very emotional day in New Orleans because we would think that Drew Brees is going to be named Hall of Fame, right? I mean, goddamn, Bill Belichick was not named one. Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Now, I'm sure you guys can only imagine, but social media is blowing up right now because good Lord have mercy. If Bill Belichick, the best coach of all time, in my opinion, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer,
then who in the hell is a first ballot Hall of Famer? Never mind just the coaching side, just in general. But 8-time Super Bowl winning head coach is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Who in the hell is a first ballot Hall of Famer? It almost makes me a little worried that, man, are they going to try to screw Drew Brees next week and say, well, Drew Brees had the bounty gate over him, so we may want to make him wait a year. That sounds ridiculous, right? But sources also say that the reason why Belichick did not make it first ballot is because Bill Polian was a vocal figure in the Hall of Fame deliberations involving Bill Belichick, with Spygate and Deflategate coming up amongst voters during discussions. Per a voter who spoke anonymously, Bill Polian, the former Bills and coach GM and a longtime Patriots rival, told some voters he believed Belichick should, quote-unquote, wait a year as a penance for Spygate. Now, that, in my opinion, completely devalues the Hall of Fame process. You should not bring any bias as a Hall of Fame voter into your vote. And Bill Polian possibly influencing voters to not vote for Bill Belichick because of his grievances with the Patriots and Bill Belichick is some sucker shit. That is some sucker shit. And never mind being mad at Bill Polian, be mad at the other 10 voters who agree with Bill Polian apparently and said, okay, you convinced us. We're going to make Bill Belichick wait a year to be a Hall of Famer. That's just absolutely ridiculous. And I know, Spygate and Deflategate, what things that happen, but 8 winning Super Bowl seasons is 8 winning Super Bowl seasons. Now, to be fair, right before I went on, I saw another tweet where Matt Verderame said he spoke on the phone with Bill Polian and asked whether he was an influence on Bill Belichick being snubbed by the Hall of Fame. And Bill Polian is denying it, everybody, and saying that is totally and categorically untrue. I voted for Bill Belichick. So somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. And we're going to obviously hopefully get to the bottom of it. One thing the NFL needs to do, though, is they need to make those goddamn votes public. For something that's prestigious as the Hall of Fame, every voter who votes should have his vote made public. Because we need to see who are the 10 people who do not put Bill freaking Belichick as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I know not everybody likes Bill Belichick. And I know right now he's become like a running gag because of his young girlfriend and all that. But that man won the Super Bowl 8 times. You're telling me that is not first ballot Hall of Famer. I've been ringing the bell the past month for Sean Payton as a Hall of Famer. Good Lord have mercy, y'all. If Bill Belichick is not a Hall of Famer, first ballot at 8 Super Bowls, Sean Payton probably is never going to be a Hall of Famer. Like, what is the goddamn criteria to being a Hall of Famer? It makes no damn sense. Social media is rightfully going crazy about the news. Bill Polian is going to have to do some explaining. I know he does a show on NFL radio on Sirius XM every day on the weekday. So hopefully I'll be tuning him out to see what he does to try to get out of that. Because if he didn't, if that's not true, then somebody didn't vote for him. And the NFL needs to make that goddamn shit public. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Like Bill Belichick. Come on, man. They should have named the Lombardi Trophy after Bill Belichick at this point. Him not being a Hall of Famer is crazy. Now, selfishly, and with my Saints brain, 2 things. One, I'm like, well, it kind of makes for more attention on Drew Brees next week when he makes the Hall of Fame, which he better make the Hall of Fame. Because a lot of them, boy, they say, oh, Drew Brees did not make the vote. Y'all know we're going to have some riots in New Orleans. But it does bring more attention to Drew Brees. And 2, I don't know if y'all remember, but when the NFL had that 100 season in 2019, they did the All 100 team, which was like the 100 greatest NFL players and like the All NFL 100 team. There was a committee that voted on that All 100 team. Bill Belichick was a part of that committee. Drew Brees was not named on the NFL All 100 team. And I was like, you got to be goddamn kidding me. Drew Brees is not one of the 100 greatest NFL players of all time. And it was, you got to get the criteria. We had to vote for 10 players per decade in the 50s and the man, get out of my face with all that. Talking about some goddamn players in the 50s deserve a shot. They were playing in the 1950s deserve a spot on the All 100 team over Drew Brees. So, it may not be fair to Bill Belichick, but one thing about them tables, what I said last week, y'all, my dad always told me, one thing about them tables, they always turn. They always turn. So even though I objectively know it's freaking ridiculous that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, one thing about them tables is they always turn. Bill Belichick, you should have voted for Drew Brees on that All 100 team. Don't fuck around with us. This shit more than a game. What do y'all think about Bill Belichick not being a Hall of Famer? Slim South says, Goodell robbed Sean Payton of his legacy. Drew Brees should have 2 reigns. Bruce Saints says, ridiculous. We have
We got to have people with zero attachments to the candidates who get to vote to get in. The Northern Chop says Bill Polian is a goddamn lie. And he also says they are wrong for Belichick. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. His resume speaks for itself. Bruce Saint says the Belichick news is exactly why he is not pre-celebrating Drew Brees being in the Hall of Fame next week. He wants to see it in ink. He said, I don't want to see it in pencil. I want to see it in ink that Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer because we see the bullshit that these Hall of Famers can be on. And Hurricane Mikey says, 8 rings is 8 rings, no matter how you feel. He should be first batted. Sandra was like, wow, she must have found out via the show that Bill Belichick would not be a first batted Hall of Famer. Chad says, I cannot wait for Drew Brees to get in the Hall of Fame. Screw the rest of them. I agree, Chad. Like next week, I ain't going to be crying over Bill Belichick. I mean, look, objectively, it's ridiculous, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, come on now. If that was a Saints head coach who had 8 Super Bowl rings, we would be like, you got to be kidding me. What's going on, NFL? What do you have against the New Orleans Saints? But next week on the show, well, I think they announced it on Thursday, but maybe we might get the news on Tuesday. Maybe the news might leak. Hopefully, if it does leak, we can celebrate on the John Bones show next Tuesday about Drew Brees being a Hall of Famer. But either way, y'all know next week in New Orleans and all of Louisiana, we celebrating Drew Brees, and they better not do no bullshit. Drew Brees better be a first batted Hall of Famer next week so that we can celebrate and then we can watch Drew Brees get his flowers next Thursday and then on Sunday on that field before the Super Bowl. And then in August, where I plan to be in Canton, Ohio to watch the greatest Saint of all time, the greatest Saint of my lifetime, hopefully not John's lifetime, hopefully somebody else comes in has an even better resume than Drew Brees because that means the Saints had a hell of a run. But the greatest Saint of my lifetime, I hope to be and I plan to be in Canton, Ohio to watch Drew Brees get that gold jacket. So we will see. We will see. Jerry also asks, do I think Tyler Shook will win Offensive Rookie of the Year? I do not think he will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I think it is a win, Jerry, that he is even nominated in only 9 games as a starter for Offensive Rookie of the Year. All right, we ain't the Giants fans. We ain't going to be crying a miss and, on Twitter angrily typing about, Tyler Shook's eligibility. The win for us Saints fans is the fact that Tyler Shook is even a candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bruce Saint says he is planning to also go to Cannes if Drew Brees is in. Hopefully a lot of you guys as well are planning to go to Cannes because if you guys are, maybe we can meet up at some place and, have some drinks, even at the stadium and watch out. I would imagine if Drew Brees is in the Hall of Fame, if he is announced next week, the Saints are going to be in the Hall of Fame game. So hopefully it's a nice little fun weekend for the city of New Orleans to celebrate the greatest to ever do it. And maybe I'll be able to meet you guys out there. So, hey, bro, I hope you do go because I plan on going as well. So that would be a great time. Mikey says he's thinking about it. Yeah, let's make it. Let's let the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana take over Canton, Ohio in August to send Drew Brees off the right way as a Hall of Famer, first ballot. Now, what a crazy world we live in, y'all. What a crazy world we live in because we live in a world, y'all, where you can actually say Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler. This is not a parody account. This is actual news, you guys. Shedeur Sanders yesterday evening was added to the Pro Bowl roster. Shedeur Sanders, who has more interceptions than touchdowns this past season. Shedeur Sanders, who's not even nominated for Offensive Rookie of the Year, like Tyler Shook or Jackson Dort or Cam Ward or all those guys. Shedeur Sanders is actually a Pro Bowler. Not a joke. Shedeur Sanders can end his career. He may not ever take another snap again. He probably will, obviously. But Shedeur Sanders can say, I was a Pro Bowl quarterback. And if that doesn't tell you how much of a joke that the Pro Bowl has become, I don't know what will. Honestly, y'all, when the Pro Bowl lost me, this is no disrespect to him, it's when they named Tyler Huntley, the Ravens' backup quarterback who only started like 4 games that year. They named him a Pro Bowl quarterback. When they named Tyler Huntley a Pro Bowler, I was like, Pro Bowl's done. Like, what are we doing? The Pro Bowl's done. The Pro Bowl is definitely done now that Shedeur Sanders is named a Pro Bowler. And look, I like Shedeur Sanders. I actually still think he has a good future. I do. I'm not one of those Shedeur cult-like members. Like, no, that's not me. I do think he could be a good quarterback, but I'm not losing sleep over what his situation is or whatever. I know my rant went viral after draft day when we took Tyler Shook and how wrong I was. And I was like, Shedeur Sanders. Again, I want to clarify. It wasn't that I'm like this huge Shedeur Sanders stand. I was just saying that if you look at the college resume, I was like, ain't no way you could take Tyler Shook over Shedeur Sanders. Thank God I'm not in that draft run because it looks like Tyler Shook is going to be a much better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Time will tell. But the fact that he was named a Pro Bowl quarterback is absolutely insane. It's insane. And the only thing I can think of is that the NFL is like, nobody cares about the Pro Bowl. Nobody talks about the Pro Bowl. Nobody really watches the Pro Bowl. How can we get people to watch the Pro Bowl? Hey, let's name Shedeur Sanders because just like the Belichick news is dominating social media tonight,
Last night, it was the Shedeur Sanders news dominating social media. And now people might hate watch the Pro Bowl, which is a flag football game now, by the way, this Sunday, because they cannot believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be an official Pro Bowl player in the NFL. It's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. I think what the NFL should do is, look, the Pro Bowl, the thing that makes the NFL, in my opinion, the greatest sport, football, of course, and the greatest league is that there's only, 17 games a season. Soon to be 18 games, stupidly, but there's only 17 games a season. So every game matters. Unlike the NBA, unlike NHL, unlike MLB, where there's 100, not 100, well, for MLB, yes, but 80 plus games a year. For the NFL, you only get 17 of those weeks guaranteed. And every game matters. Why? Because it is such a brutal, barbaric sport. But the thing that makes the NFL great in that regard is the thing that makes the Pro Bowl obsolete. You are just never ever going to have an exhibition game like the Pro Bowl where players are going to risk their health and play at full speed, knowing that this is such a barbaric game and knowing that health is wealth. All right, so there's some things that the NFL needs to just take their losses on. The Pro Bowl is one of them. You cannot have an all-star game in the NFL. It would be great if you could, right? I think that if the NFL best players in the world all played on two teams and went at it, like seriously, it would be one of the greatest sports spectacles of all time. But it's football. You just simply will never ever get the best players in the world playing seriously in an exhibition game. Thus, the Pro Bowl is just never going to be anything like what the NBA All-Star game used to be, or what the MLB All-Star game is, or what the NHL All-Star game is. So the NFL also kind of knows that, which is why they made it a flag football game. So my thing is, because they know that it's not going to be ever a serious game, at this point, do you even need I don't know. Like, do you even need the flag football game part of it? Just name the Pro Bowl players, and that's a wrap. Now, I know there's money to be made, so the NFL, like, we got to do something for the Pro Bowl, like with the NFL. Even if they were doing just the skills challenges, people are going to watch. I get all that. So I get why they want to do something to celebrate or have the Pro Bowl players involved in. But when you get to the point where people like Tyler Huntley and now Shedeur Sanders are named Pro Bowlers, that's just crazy, man. Like, it's absolute. And I'm assuming the real reason, not just marketing, was that, maybe Trevor Lawrence said no, maybe Cam Ward said so they got to keep going down the list until one of these quarterbacks says yes, that they will come to Santa Clara next week and participate. But like, what are we doing now where, Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowl quarterback? Like, now when people use Pro Bowls in arguments, you're going to be like, yeah, but Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowl. Like, Pro Bowls don't mean shit. You're devaluing the Pro Bowl name. I would just have it where you name the initial Pro Bowl roster, cut, dry, period. That's all the Pro Bowlers. You ain't got to worry about alternatives. You ain't got to worry about, oh, man, we got to ask the 10th quarterback in the AFC to be a Pro Bowler so we can have enough bodies for a flag football game. Don't worry about all that. Do some skills competitions. Do a 7-on-7 football game for 5 minutes. We ain't got to make it to where we got to fill out a roster on the AFC and NFC side. So we got to keep going down the rosters when worthy players are saying, hell no. Like Trevor Lawrence is probably like, I don't want to go to Santa Clara. Like, I'm in my offseason mode. I'm in Cancun. So now we got to ask Shedeur Sanders to be a Pro Bowler. I just think that that's devaluing the Pro Bowl name. Bruce Saint says, what? He ain't talking Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hurricane Mikey says, tired of sugar, better replace Sam Darnold for all that. Bruce Saint says this is absolutely factual. The All-Pro is a much better way to gauge a player's legacy, and it's a much better achievement. Bruce Saint also says the Pro Bowl needs to be canceled at this point. Slim South says the Pro Bowl is a joke. Jerry says he's on a Pro Bowl hiatus. The Know the Child podcast says the Pro Bowl is a waste of time. Mr. Ripley, what's up, Mr. Ripley? How you feel about the Kevin Stefanski hire, Mr. Ripley? He says, I'm cool if they just play one full pass game on one day and call it. Well, it's not going to happen, Mr. Ripley, because, again, these players are not playing in any type of exhibition game when it doesn't account for anything besides bragging rights. So, yeah, Shedeur Sanders, y'all, he's a Pro Bowler. Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler. And the crazy thing is, another chop, you say it's a waste of time. But the funny thing is, if you look at the ratings, the Pro Bowl continues to be the highest watched All-Star game of all the All-Star leagues, all the sports leagues, which is crazy, right? Like, because how much prestige and how much people love the NBA All-Star game and the MLB All-Star game and the NHL All-Star game. And it shows you how much football is king in this country that you look at the ratings, as much as the Pro Bowl is trashed and discarded, it is still the most watched All-Star game out of all 4 major sports leagues. That's insane. That's why the NFL is probably like, yeah, we got to do something. People have football obsession. They're going to watch whatever we put out. But should we do it at the expense of, and it's not anything against Shedeur Sanders. It's just that, like, come on. Now, what are we doing with Shedeur Sanders? Shedeur Sanders. More interceptions than touchdowns this rookie season. Is a Pro Bowler. Come on, man. Come on. And finally, here are the NFL coaches' vacancies that have been fulfilled so far, just to keep you guys up to date. Joe Brady was named the Bills head coach today. Mike McCarthy, welcome back. He was named the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. The Ravens hired Jesse Minter. The Giants hired John Harbaugh. We talked about Kevin Stefanski being named the Falcons coach last week. The Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley. And the Titans hired Robert Saleh. From these names, y'all, is there anything that jumps out to you guys when it comes to the new head coaches coming to the NFL in 2026? I would say a few names for me. One, Joe Brady being named the Bills head coach. I don't get why you're hired Sean McDermott, Bills. If y'all talking about we feel like this team has run its course, its peak of what they can do, then you hire the offensive coordinator. Like, if you're going to try to use the line of we've run our peak with this current staff, then I would think that you would bring somebody outside the staff to be your next head coach to get over the hump. But maybe Joe Brady shocks everybody and it can lead Buffalo to the proverbial wall that they keep reaching when they get to the playoffs. The Titans, I think Robert Saleh does deserve another shot at being a head coach. Y'all know what I said about certain organizations like the Jets and the Browns. You got to have a bit of a tax when it comes to being with those teams because those franchises are so damn bad. So I think Robert Saleh can be a good coach in Tennessee, but at the same time, it keeps going back to the fact that why in the hell did y'all fire Mike Vrabel? Like, why, Tennessee? You had Robert Saleh, the better version of Robert Saleh already. You had Mike Vrabel. Why did y'all hire him just to hire him again with Robert Saleh? Makes no damn sense to me. For the Steelers, the Mike McCarthy one, I'm happy for Mike McCarthy. He was a diehard Steelers fan growing up, so I'm sure it's a lifelong dream for him. But two is like, damn, Steelers fans were all on Mike Tomlin. We got to fire Mike Tomlin. Just to hire white Mike Tomlin. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But do y'all feel any way about some of these coaching hires? Let's see. Bruce Saint says the Minter hire for Baltimore is the best one. A young defensive mind with an already good relationship with the team, and he had a great defense with the Chargers last year. Bruce Saint, I keep going to the Saints brain. I bet you if Brandon Staley keeps the Saints defense playing the way they did to close out the season, next season, and we have a top 5 unit again, I think Brandon Staley may not be long for the city of New Orleans. Hurricane Mikey says, I hate the Jeff Hafley hire and a Saleh hire. And, damn, Mikey, which one do you like? At this point, you're saying you hate everybody. And a Brady hire. Every other one he is cool with. Jonathan Mr. Ripley, a Falcons fan, says he is indifferent on a head coach hire. At this point in my 20 years of fandom, I'm more wait and see. I'm not pissed like half the fans, but I'm not fake happy either. I think the new structure with Matty Ice will work. We'll see about that, Mr. Ripley, because a lot of y'all fans, we had this conversation last week. Watch the John O'Brien show from last week. Mr. Ripley, y'all Falcons fans are a hilarious bunch. What up, Valerie? Bruce Saint says the worst one is Mike McCarthy. Literally and figuratively went from black Mike to white Mike. Now, but why is it the worst hire though? Because look, y'all, Mike McCarthy has been successful in every stop that he's been in. He's never got back to the Super Bowl since Aaron Rodgers, but he's been successful. He was successful with Dallas. They didn't go to the championship game, but they made the playoffs. So what about Mike McCarthy is such a bad hire? As Jerry says, thank God we got Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy. We had this conversation last year, y'all, when Mike McCarthy was a candidate for the Saints coach. And I was like, you look at his resume and Sean Payton's resume, they're almost the same resume. And I made the meme with like Rick Ross without a shirt, and everybody was like, you fat mother. And then you got Lizzo without a shirt, and it's like, oh, how empowering that is. Like, why does Mike McCarthy has this stigma over him that coaches like Sean Payton or Mike Tomlin do not have? I don't think it was the greatest hire, but I'm not going to be like, it's the worst hire. I think for Steelers fans, given that they wanted like a young offensive mind or something, I understand why they're mad. As Saints fans, I mean, it's like, I'm sure Mike McCarthy is going to keep them competitive and keep them in that playoff race. So I don't think it's the worst hire, in my opinion. Carl Dunn says, I was hoping Brady would wait for the Cincinnati job because Zach Taylor is a dead man walking. I feel like Zach Taylor has been described as a dead man walking for the past three seasons, and he's always come out, Coach Black Monday, unscathed. So is he really a dead man walking? Bruce Saint answers my question and says, McCarthy is not a coach with potential. He's already reached his peak a decade ago. That's why youth coaching is the trend. Valid point. Very valid point. And the Know the Child podcast says, Joe Brady is a nice hire by the Bills. Robert Saleh surprised me going to the Titans, but he deserves another chance to be a head coach again in the league. Anxious to see what he does with Cam Ward and the Titans. And Jeremiah says, I hope Kellen Moore is giving Tyler Shough credit for Rookie of the Year until he is the starting quarterback in 2026. John, what's your thoughts about young players from college going to the draft pick? What young player are we talking about? Next week, I'm going to do probably an Ask John segment where if y'all want, y'all can ask me any questions because obviously there's no games to talk about. Next week, we'll be previewing the Super Bowl, but maybe I'll use that for you guys to ask some questions because I see, and I'm sorry, I'm a one-man show, so I'm sure some people were asking questions earlier in the show about Tyler Shough and whatnot. Hopefully, I was able to answer y'all questions about that, but I might make a post on my YouTube where you guys can leave questions for next week where I'll make sure I capture everybody's question that you guys might have for me, and we can, shoot the shit next week along with previewing the Super Bowl. But either way, I will say this, Jeremiah. I think Tyler Shough should give Kellen Moore credit as well because Kellen Moore obviously knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. So it's not all Tyler Shough saving Kellen Moore. It's Kellen Moore also being very beneficiary to Tyler Shough. Now, I will also say this, though, Jeremiah. I'm not like 100% concrete sold on Kellen Moore the way I am maybe irrationally with Tyler Shough. Like, I still saw enough chinks in Kellen Moore's armor that I'm like, I'm not ready to say we got our head coach for the future guaranteed. I want to see if he grows next year. I do want to see if he grows next year. But I'm not like, oh, man, Kellen Moore is that guy for us in the future. Because there's some things when I'm like, I could see that maybe being a problem if the Saints do become a good team. Like, well, then you start, picking and prying at everything a head coach has a negative effect at because you're like, okay, man, no, never mind us being a rebuild. We're trying to win the Super Bowl now. So, why are you doing this? And why do you always do that? And yada, yada, yada. So I'm not all the way sold on Kellen Moore just yet. But I am very optimistic about him. But I do think that his growth is going to be an underrated storyline for Saints fans going forward. I don't think that Saints fans should be, with their chest out saying, Kellen Moore is that guy. Not just yet. Not just yet. We'll see. We'll see. Another thing we're going to see is how do you guys feel about conference championship weekend? Because, yes, y'all, we did get some voicemails this past week. So I want to hear from you guys. I've done enough talking. But before I hear from you guys, because we got a super chat from Ziggy, I promise you guys a classic skit. So here's a classic skit from the one and only John O'Bourne's channel.
Damn, I forgot my phone. Oh! Oh, what the hell? What the hell? I didn't even go 10 inches. How the hell did they break into it that fast? What the hell? They don't take the goddamn phone. Why would you break into the car? You ain't gonna even take the phone. Oh, come on, man. What's that? Come on, man. Oh, they got glasses for like Stone Cold just walked through. What the hell, man? Ah, God damn it. I hate these damn kids, man. Like American Ninja Warriors all of a sudden. Ooh. Oh, I ain't got time to be buying a new window, man. Hello, 911? Yeah, my car just got broken into. Can you guys please send a cop over? I'm on the corner of Butter and Haynes. All right, thank you.
It's probably gonna be another 8 hours.
I guess we might as well just wait in the damn car before they come. Oh! Oh! What the hell? All I did was turn around! All I did was turn around! Where's my car? Where's my car? Oh, come on, man! Damn! I'm buying a bike. I'm buying a bike. No, man.
Yes, Sandra, you're damn right. That's the good old New Orleans East, and I am New Orleans East born and bred, and when it's all said and done, I'll be New Orleans East there. That's where the shit within the game originated from. New Orleans East, stand up. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that skit. I'm sure a lot of you guys may not have seen it in the past because that was like my first year of doing content. So I like to play some old skits every now and then for people who may not have seen, when John O'Bourne was just getting started as a content creator. And it's fitting because Mardi Gras is coming up in a few weeks, and I have some new Mardi Gras skits on the way. So, we don't just do Saints here on the John O'Bourne Show. We like to have fun with the great city of New Orleans and the culture and all the great things that comes with being a New Orleans/Louisiana native. So look out soon, y'all, for some of the Mardi Gras content that I have coming up this next few weeks. Now, before we look up for that, let's look out for these next voicemails that we got after the conference championship weekend from our amazing, amazing audience.
What's up, y'all? Your boy Brute Saints back. Went on a little hiatus last week, but I'm back. So first off, before I get into what I want to get into for the games, I hope everybody out there is staying safe. I know that winter storm was nasty as fuck. Now, I know a lot of people are living in southern Louisiana or so probably didn't experience that much severity with the storms, but I know our homegirl, ASAP Thickness, is living in North Carolina, I believe. I think they got it bad, so hope she's okay, as well as, anybody else who was in that storm, because Jesus Christ, that's historic right there. But either way, enough with that. Let's get to the games. Fuck the Rams.
Oh, okay. But damn. I like that, Bruce Saint. I like it. I like that. Clear, concise, crisp. All you needed to say. That's all you needed to say. If y'all take away anything from this show tonight, take away what Bruce Saint just said. Appreciate that, Bruce Saint. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Denver Broncos lost the AFC Championship, and now the New Orleans Saints might make a float, Sean Payton float, like we did the Atlanta Falcons when they lost the Super Bowl. The Sean Payton float me to be, you got one ring. It's Kyle City. Bye.
I don't know, Kyle, if New Orleans is petty enough to make fun of Sean Payton, because at the end of the day, even though he left us, I mean, he did bring us a Super Bowl, right? And he does continuously still show love for New Orleans. So I know sometimes we feel like a spurned ex, like watching your ex, drive elsewhere. But I mean, he brought us a Super Bowl, man. Like, think about this. This is what I always think about when it comes to Sean Payton. Like, there's a chance that maybe that's the only Super Bowl that we experience in our lifetimes. Now, we pray, y'all. All of us pray that we get to experience another one. But there's a chance that 2009 Super Bowl was the only one we got to experience. And if that's the case, we can all go to our graves saying we saw the Saints get one. We saw the Saints get one. Falcons fans right now will probably sign up in a minute to say, just give us one in my lifetime. Sean Payton bought us one. So no matter what happened after that, no matter how he left us, that man bought us one. I will forever be grateful. I live in a world where I got to watch my mom and dad who are there in the dog days of the Saints, the dog days of the Saints franchise. They can go to their graves, hopefully a long time from now, but saying, hey, we saw the Saints get one. My son might live in a world, I pray not, but he doesn't see the Saints get one. But John Vaughn Sr. can say, I saw the Saints get one. You know why? Because of Sean Payton. So I'm never going to be as hard on Sean Payton as a lot of fans are. That man bought us one. He will forever have my heart, even though he did block me on Twitter. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Man, Sean, bro. I'm probably talking to the glass window right now because you are 95% going to not be on the show because the Rams did not make it to the Super Bowl. But hey, I'm going to shoot for the stars anyway. Man, how does it feel, man? And I understand you made the NFC Championship. Congratulations. However, I don't think you get a ring for making it to the NFC Championship game. And I'm going to say this again. If you don't win the Super Bowl, your entire season means nothing. Nothing. I'm sorry, Sean. You might think that the season was a success for the Rams, but it wasn't. Yeah, you might have had a great year, but it wasn't. If you don't win the Super Bowl, your season means nothing. And yes, the Saints were trash for most of the season. I understand. I'm not saying that the Saints are a better team than the Rams, but we can both be on the couch together. Hey, y'all got your ass beat by Sam Donald, man. Tariq Woolen tried giving y'all the game. Your damn punt returner, I don't know what he was like. He lost 2 punts in the game, and the second one bit him in the ass. And then, man, y'all could have went for 2, which would have made it a 3-point game, but y'all just kept going for the extra point. And if it was a 3-point game, instead of going for on 4th down at the end, you could have kicked the field goal to tie the game. But no, Sean McVay, man, something about them Sean boy. And another thing, Broncos, man. I actually believed in y'all, and for a while it looked like y'all were going to win that game. But no happened. You went 4 on 4th down. A lot of stuff happened, which didn't benefit y'all. But it's all right. Now we can root for Rashid Shaheed to get his hands on that ring. This shit more than a game. And Rams, and mainly Deshaun, Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Cancun, Mikey. Cancun. Mikey, you laughed that they lost to Sam Darnold, and that brings up a good point. Y'all know me, I'm a fair man. I'm just a fan. I never pretend to be an expert. Nobody's really an expert. So after that Seahawks loss, the Seahawks won, on Sunday. I had to dig up some old Sam Darnold tweets myself, and nobody would even remember these tweets if I didn't bring it up. But I'm like, I'm a fair man. Like, I'm going to call myself out when I have some takes that age like bread. I was not a Sam Darnold believer. As y'all can see from the dates, I was very hard on Sam Darnold, particularly when he joined the Panthers, because I was very annoyed that, the media, I believe the Panthers went like 2-0 with Sam Darnold's first 2 starts when he went with Carolina, and everybody was like, you see, Sam Darnold, he's the guy. The Jets was the reason why he was so bad. And I was like, man, slow y'all roll. And I just had like this hate for, not hate, but I was like, Sam Darnold ain't shit. Stop it. And I kept that attitude up until 2024. I just did not believe in Sam Darnold. And now Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl. So it goes to show you, like, one, these quarterbacks, man, not everybody's going to have a straightforward path to how they make it to prosperity, because Sam Darnold is on his, this is his 5th team now, and he finally found the team where he was able to be the dog that we thought that he could be coming out of USC. And 2, again, y'all, never, ever listen to John Barnes when it comes to quarterback takes. Never listen to me when it comes to quarterback takes, okay? I'm happy to wear my L's on my sleeve. I will wear my L on the sleeve. Sam Darnold, you made me look like a dumbass. Y'all, never listen to John Barnes when it comes to quarterback takes. Let's get to our last voicemail of the evening.
This is James. James. Why, hello, Clarice. Yeah, it's the signers of the Rams, not the signers of the Lambs. Because yet again, the Rams are on that couch with us watching the Super Bowl. Hey, at least they'll have a front row seat to watch Bad Bunny perform. And wait, y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? Yeah, that sounds like Sean choking. But choke on these nuts, Sean. But it's not all too bad being on a couch, because you get to be here in Cancun, where the sand is warm, the water is nice, and the sun is ablazing. So, DJ, please. We're going to welcome Sean and the Rams fans to Cancun, y'all. Let's go.
Aruba, Jamaica, oh, I want to take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Jamaica.
Bermuda, Bahama, ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda. Yeah, mama, come on, pretty mama. Viago, Montego, baby, why don't we go off to Kokomo? We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down to Kokomo. Yeah. Eat shit, Rams fans.
Okay. Hey, what Mike is saying? 1, 2, 3, Cancun, huh? Look at Sean looks mighty cool. Like, he already got the sun all in his eye. He look like, why he got a hoodie on in Cancun? I don't know. Hey, y'all, we kept that couch warm for the Falcons fans all season. We damn sure kept that couch warm for that team in Dallas, and we kept that couch warm for the Rams fans. Y'all know our Saints fans, boy. We used to this couch, so it ain't no sweat off our back to be in Cancun in January watching our favorite teams come join us. So yes, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. We are all on the couch. I've been doing this show, y'all, for 5 seasons now, and I'm always saying, give me a playoff season, Saints. Give me a playoff season. But at least I can say this. I can say that I've done this show for 5 seasons, and I have not had to do a show where the Rams won the Super Bowl, because again, I started after the Rams won the Super Bowl. I have not had to do a season where the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, and I have not had to do a season where the Falcons have won the Super Bowl. Or even if you want to get super deep into it, the Bucks and the Panthers. So I'm not mad. I want the Saints to be in it, but at least my most annoying teams every year on the John Barnes Show ends up in Cancun with us, ends up on that goddamn couch. Can't make this up, y'all. You cannot make this up. I appreciate everybody joining the John Barnes Show tonight. I appreciate everybody who left a voicemail. Now, there was no game next week,
And it's very, very mighty quiet in Saints land right now. So I do not really know what you guys can leave a voicemail for next week. But if you still want to do it, because we only got 2 more weeks, I can't believe I'm saying it out loud because the season came and went so fast. We only got 2 more weeks of the season. So if you do want to leave a voicemail this week, maybe you want to talk about, I don't know, Drew Brees, Hall of Fame candidacy, or maybe some news might come out this week that has your attention. Hell, maybe you just want to ask me a question. You can always do so at 504-484-9170. Or hell, again, next week is going to be our Super Bowl preview show. So maybe you want to call and leave your thoughts about who you think is going to win the Super Bowl next year, who is going to be the Super Bowl MVP, etc., etc. Please do so at 504-484-9170. I appreciate all of you guys who joined the John Barnes Show tonight. Hopefully you guys are all staying warm. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy our first weekend in a long time with no football. What are you guys going to do? I'm going to spend time with my wife and kid. Yay. Yay. I will be back next Tuesday on the John Barnes Show. The preview Seahawks versus Patriots. And again, I don't know if they announced the Hall of Fame honorees by the time we do our show next Tuesday. I think they announced it next Thursday, so we won't be able to, I guess, technically celebrate on the John Barnes Show next week about Drew Brees. But I'm sure we'll have like a birdie in our ear. At least maybe some sources will kind of leak if Drew Brees made it by then or not. So we'll see. But we're going to have a good time on the John Barnes Show. You all are so damn true to the John Barnes Show that I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you very much. Always remember that no matter what, through good times and bad, whether we're on the couch, whether we're in Cancun, wherever we are at, this shit is always going to be more than a game. Y'all have a great night.
You know.